Rosemarie Falk is here today. Rosemarie is the MP for the Battlefords-Lloydminster. Rosemarie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Stacey.
Well, let's talk about your summer, Rosemarie. What have you been up to so far?
For sure. So it's been quite busy thus far. I was here in Lloydminster for Canada Day. We then had the parade that I was able to participate in, which is always a treat. I was up to St. Walburg. They always have a Communities in Bloom garden contest. So it's always fun to go up there, and it's such an honor to be a part of that and go meet with just everyday people, right? And then later this summer, I've got some events, North Battleford. So in the Battlefords, Macklin has their Bunnock coming up here. And then I believe there is another one, the Blueberry Festival in St. Walburg. So that's just a few of those for the month of August coming up.
Well, Rosemarie, most people have already talked about the fact that, Saskatchewan, a good portion of the province is in a drought or agricultural crisis. Thankfully not a lot around here, but still anywhere in the province it affects, it has that a ripple effect. So do you think that there should be more done at this point by the federal government to help the provinces, or do you think it should be something that stays at a provincial level?
Well, I think that the federal government, and if we look at them today, I mean, there is the discussion of a cabinet shuffle coming. I mean, I think something that this government, the federal Liberals, have failed at is actually listening to our farmers and our rural Canadians. I mean, I think absolutely that they should be listening and engaged with them, knowing what's going on, because as you know this, and you just alluded to that, we're okay around here, but not necessarily everywhere else, right? And so that federal minister needs to be directly engaged with every region, not only of the province, but of the country, to know how the farmers are being affected.
Now, there is talk of a cabinet shuffle tomorrow. Looks like it's going to happen. Does a cabinet shuffle really make that much difference, Rosemarie? And also, do you think this is a sign that maybe we will see an election sooner rather than later?
Well, we are in a minority. So some days I wake up thinking, you never know, we're going to have an election, and I'll be sent home ready to do that. I think what this alludes to is the fact that Justin Trudeau's government isn't working. The ministers haven't been working. They haven't been engaged. They haven't been listening to Canadians and their respected portfolios. I mean, we've seen failure after failure with more than one cabinet minister. So who knows? All I know is I don't trust Justin Trudeau. I mean, we have to remember he called an election pandemic, or a pandemic election, right? That election right in the middle in 2021, when he said he wouldn't. So who knows what tricks he has up his sleeve, but I can guarantee that we have all been working hard, especially conservatives, listening to Canadians, but ready to hit the doors and hopefully have a change of power.
What are you hearing from your constituents just in general, Rosemarie? I know that people take the opportunity to write you letters or contact you in person, and you're very good, obviously, for getting back to them. But what are some of the topics that they seem to be really concerned about at this point?
Cost of living. Everything is expensive. We know in just the beginning of the month, July 1st, carbon tax 2.0 hit everywhere. And we know this, especially because we're in a rural riding. We have producers, whether that is grain or even livestock, right? That they know, we feel it, that when that carbon tax is hit on them, of course they're passing, that gets passed on and passed on and passed on and passed on. And ultimately the consumer is then paying for that. So definitely the cost of living. Everybody is finding everything just more expensive.
Now, we talked a little bit about what your plans are for the summer, Rosemarie, but obviously you guys are working for the next sitting of the Parliament as well. So are there any topics, any bills, anything in specific that you guys are working towards bringing forward when the House of Commons starts its sitting again?
For sure. So that's a great question. I know for myself, I have the second reading of my private members bill coming up. That'll be scheduled if we don't have an election the first week back. But what we do during the summertime is really listen to Canadians, see what is working for them, what is not working for them, what they like, what they don't like, how we can change that, what policies we can do. We do have a convention that is coming up, a party convention in September before the House resumes. So I am almost positive there will be a lot of conversation around that, especially with grassroots members, and then taking that back once Parliament resumes. If we're not in election, you never know.
Well, Rosemarie, I know that sometimes constituents get frustrated because they feel like their voices aren't being heard, or they don't know where the outlet is to reach out, and feel like, you know, maybe they're in a minority with their issues. But what do you have to say to that? Because I know I've talked to a number of people who have said, yes, we wrote to Rosemarie and we got a response back. So, well, what do you tell people who kind of get frustrated and aren't quite sure how to go about getting in touch with the government and making their views known?
Absolutely. So I think always communication is always important. It doesn't matter where that is, but respectful communication is key. I think that's a way that we can move forward in any. It doesn't matter what organization or any level of government. Definitely keep that open dialogue with either councillors at a municipal level, our MLA premier at the provincial level, and then the members of parliament at the federal level, and making sure, I know my office will do what we can to try to get to the correct avenue so that we can help out. But we just have to keep that dialogue continuing and bringing forward ideas also. If there is something that's going on and someone out there has a great policy idea that could help make that something easier or fix something, I mean, all about cutting red tape. I would love that. Making life easier for Canadians. Reach your member of parliament or your MLA, and we can see what, maybe there's an avenue that we can try to put that forward.
All right, Rosemarie. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll chat again. I think we're going to have some topics to talk about, some interesting topics here in the next month or so. So thanks again, and we'll chat with you soon.
Wonderful. Thanks, Stacey.